Spurs, blimey.
Crikey, mate.
I mean, I looked at that starting lineup and they spent big money, but they still started with Kinski, Bergvall, Richarlison, Tell, and I'm sorry, but Archie Gray as well.
Yeah.
And Brentford, they outworked them, they outmuscled them, they outjumped them, and they outclassed them.
Yeah. I mean, I thought you're right. We're looking at Spurs obviously spending a lot of money, and that would be the major talking point. However, Brentford once again, right? I mean, they were terrific last season. I've got to say, Keith Andrews and you and I both massive fans. They were unbelievable. They got their team spot on. They get their tactics spot on. They're solid at the back. Ayer and Collins at the back. Kelleher has been a brilliant signing for them, Jeff. Another clean sheet. And I know he didn't score at the weekend, Thiago, but the season he had, if he can rattle in a few again this year, they'll be a force again. I mean, they've just got good players all throughout their team. You know, Yanni will come in with a goal, Shader. I think that was a statement result again from Brentford, I think.
Yeah, look, and it could have been many more. And Mamadou Sangare, what a signing he looked. Again,
yes,
we've always got to put the little rider in. It's only one game.
Correct.
So, but it was a brilliant start from Sangare, brilliant start for Brentford, and an absolute shocker as far as Spurs are concerned. And on the Premier League All Access pod, Troy Deeney questioned why 20-year-old Archie Gray was named as Spurs captain and made to face the media in the wake of that defeat to Brentford.
He was named as captain. Now, he's 20 years of age. Do you think it's a little bit weird that he has to come out and be the one that has to defend the football club after that?
Yeah, massively. But I also think there's another side to the coin. Andy Robertson, been a captain at Liverpool and Scotland, come in to have leadership and show you what does that say to him? That we don't trust you, that what you've done at other clubs, we don't actually really want here because that might call on all of the flaws that we actually have. Tonali's been a captain as well. There's other people that could be captains. You've gone out and bought 2 centre-halves. Why not put them in? Also, by the way, it's just so unfair to a kid, literally a kid, when this is in a mess, to go on, be the vocal point, go and speak for us, go and tell everybody what it is, what's the message. He's never been in that situation before.
Well, let's just carry on with that for a moment, Coisty, because I think Troy Deeney's got some very fair points there. Why is Senesi, for example, not captain, or Andy Robertson?
Well, the answer is I don't know, but it is strange because you'd have thought Robbo would have been an automatic choice, in terms of a fresh start, just come to the club, unbelievable experience at that club and international level, has captained numerous teams on numerous occasions. That was the one that surprised me. You look for a captain, you kind of look for somebody that epitomises the spirit and the willingness to work hard and show an example. Now, I'm not saying Archie Gray doesn't do that for a minute, because actually he does. But the one thing that he doesn't have, in contrast to Robbo, would be the experience, which can be, and I think is vital. So, in answer to the question, Jeff, I don't know, but it surprised me as much surprised you and Troy.
Look, the lineup surprised me. I'll be brutally honest with you. And so did Roberto De Zerbi's comments afterwards when he said Van Hecke, Tonali, Senesi were not in the best physical condition.
Why would that be then?
That's the question I've got written down. I was about to say to you, why would that be?
You would have to expand on that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd need to expand, because the obvious question to follow that would be, why not?
Yeah.
What's the reason for that? Because they've had time. I mean, you look at the midfield, Gallagher, Tonali and Bergvall, there's no doubt there's talent in it. And Van Hecke, as you know, is a good centre-back. But why are they not ready for the start of the season?
Yeah. And look, there was no fluke about this. I mean, it could easily have been 5 or 6. And there's talk, obviously, they spent a lot of money. There's talk about Savinho coming in, and maybe Marmoush as well. Are they the type of players they need?
I don't know, is the answer to the question. But if you're right, because me saying I don't know means probably no. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at it. I mean, they've got injuries. They've still got some great players out. You know, Van de Ven never started. Porro never started. Kulusevski, Kudus. But I don't know if they're the type of player that they need more. They could do with them, but I'm not sure it's priority. If that's what you're asking me, priority. I don't know. They just look as though they need somebody in the middle of the park that's going to grab a game by the scruff of the neck and grab people, his teammates run about him.
Yeah, well, that was meant to be Tonali, wasn't it? I've got a text in here, which is a bit harsh. It says, morning, Jeff, morning, Ali. What can I say after the weekend apart from 100 million for Tonali? That's got Ndombele written all over it.
Well, that's very early. I mean,
It is
Tonali,
very early.
Yeah, they certainly had a bad day at the office, but I wouldn't be throwing those comments about after 90 minutes. But that said, I mean, I can understand Spurs fans, Tottenham fans again saying, "Oh, here we go again." Two 17th places. They've spent a right few quid, and they look as though they're going to continue between now and the closing of the window. But there's still there's more question marks. There's still more questions than answers, I think, at this moment in time, Jeff.
Yeah, and of course they've got Charlton in the League Cup midweek.
Yeah.
And then Newcastle at home next weekend. And Newcastle, I think, surprised a lot of people with their performance yesterday. Look, let's talk for a moment about Brentford. Because
Brilliant.
I thought it was a fantastic performance from Brentford. Keith Andrews right. He said afterwards, we looked a real team. And Mamadou Sangare, he looked a real player, didn't he?
Do you know something, Jeff? They're the complete opposite. What I was saying about Tottenham, you look at Tottenham full of talented players. But I look at Brentford, Jeff, same as last season. Do you know what they look full of? They look full of men. They look full of... And I don't mean that to take away from any of their natural talent, but they're an aggressive squad. They'll mess you about. They'll put balls into the box. They'll ask questions. They're powerful. And they just look everything that kind of Tottenham aren't at this moment in time. And Keith Andrews, I mean, but what we're watching the weekend, I thought they were fantastic last season. And, they've not stood still. They look as though they march forward again.
Yeah, they do. 26 attempts they had during the course of the game, which actually, from a Spurs perspective, is also a really worrying statistic.
I think with the Spurs, something's going to have to change. I mean, I like the coach, I like the manager, and yes, he should be given time, and he will be given time, absolutely. But I mean, it's like season after season. And when we go to Tottenham, I've got to say, Jeff, when we go to Tottenham and talk to the fans are brilliant. But you actually have a degree, and they don't need our sympathy, but you have a degree of sympathy for the frustration that they've had for years and years and years. There is absolutely no way on this earth that a team and a club like Tottenham Hotspur should be finishing 17th 2 years in a row. Just not on.
No. Some harsh assessments of Sandro Tonali here. I mean, maybe not surprisingly, this one's from Ian, who's a Newcastle fan. He says, Jeff, Ali, that last comment from the Spurs fan regarding Tonali, you both just said it was too early. He says, trust me, it's not.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, and that is coming from a Newcastle fan, so we should temper it with that. Jay says, morning, guys. What are we thinking about how Ipswich Town played and players coming in? Well, Julio Encisa, oh my goodness, one of the performances of the weekend. I don't think there's any question about that.